Whether you're just around the corner from retirement or you're already there, you're in this really unique spot. You can still decide how the rest of your story is going to play out. So today, we're going to dive into some real, hard-earned wisdom from retirees, the folks who've been there, done that, and learn from the choices they made that led them to one of two places: gratitude or regret. And really, it all boils down to these two powerful feelings, doesn't it? What's so wild is that the gap between a life filled with gratitude and one filled with regret, it often comes down to just a few key decisions. This explainer is all about digging into those decisions so you can make sure you're steering your ship toward gratitude. So, let me ask you, what do you think it is? When folks finally hang up their hats and stop working, what's the one thing that really keeps them up at night? I'll bet it's not what you think. That's it, right there. It's not the Dow Jones. It's not some political debate about Social Security. The single biggest fear is regret. The regret of maybe working a few years longer than they really needed to. The regret of just kind of drifting into retirement without a clear purpose. Or, and this is a big one, the fear of leaving a mess behind for the people they love. But here's the good news. You get to write a different ending. So here's our game plan. We're going to walk through 7 critical pieces of advice, and we've broken them down into these 6 sections. We'll touch on everything, from your money and your health to your relationships and just your overall mindset. All right, let's jump right in with the first piece of advice. This one tackles a massive financial fear, that nagging feeling that you'll just never, ever have enough. We're talking about how to avoid the trap of chasing what we call just-in-case money. This idea of just-in-case money, it always makes me think of a man I once knew named Gary. He was a maintenance worker at a church, just a wonderful, kind, faith-filled guy that everybody adored. And he worked for years and years, always saving up that just-in-case money. Well, he finally came in to see us, and after running the numbers, we told him, Gary, you could retire today. He finally did about 6 months later, and for 18 glorious months, he and his wife had the time of their lives. They traveled, saw family, they were just soaking it all in. And then, Gary passed away. He only got 18 months. 18 months to enjoy the fruits of a lifetime of work, because he'd worked extra years he didn't really need to. So the takeaway here is absolutely crucial. You have to define what enough actually means for you. Here's how you do it. First step, figure out your income gap. Just think of it like this. Write down all your monthly expenses, your house payment, your bills, groceries, healthcare, and don't forget the fun stuff, like travel. Then, subtract any guaranteed income you've got, like Social Security or a pension. Whatever's left over, that's your income gap. That's the amount your investments have to cover each month. Second, you figure out your freedom number. This is the total pot of money you need invested to cover that gap for the rest of your life, making sure you account for inflation. And third, you have to understand your tax track. That's just a simple way of saying how much your tax is going to take out of my investment returns. Planning for that helps you keep more of your own money right where it belongs. And here's a super simple but really powerful action you can take. Pick an actual date. And I mean, write it down. Circle it on the calendar. Something magical happens when you do that. The simple act of setting a date makes it real, and it starts to guide all your other decisions with a real sense of purpose. Okay, let's move into our next section, because this builds on everything we just talked about. This is about shifting your mindset from just saving for retirement to actively designing the life you actually want to live in retirement. It's all about being intentional. So our second piece of advice is don't put off your experiences. But look, forget about some giant, overwhelming bucket list. Let's think smaller. A mini bucket list feels so much more doable. And that Disney one on the list, man, that one hits close to home for me. My grandfather was a teacher, and my grandparents weren't wealthy by any stretch, but they saved for years and years to take all their kids and all their grandkids to Disney for their 50th wedding anniversary. I will never forget that trip. Not just because it was Disney, but because even as kids, we understood the weight of that gift. We knew what it meant for them to do that for us. So here's your homework, and it's a fun one, I promise. Sometime today, just take a few minutes and write down 10 of these mini bucket list items. Then look at the list, find the easiest one, and go put it on the calendar. The whole point here is just to build a little momentum, get the ball rolling. Now for advice number 3, design your perfect day. It's funny, so many people are so busy preparing to retire that they never actually think about what they're going to do all day. So design your perfect Tuesday. Why Tuesday? Because it's just a normal day. Write down what it looks like from the moment you wake up to when you go to bed. Who are you with? What hobbies are you doing? And then, here's the fun part, block out a day in the next month and go live it. Give it a test run. See how it feels. It's like a little taste test of your own future. Okay, this next section is so important. I can't tell you how many retirees say they wish they had taken this advice to heart sooner. The advice is simple. Don't wait for a health scare to start prioritizing your health. And this chart just lays it out perfectly. You've really got two ways to approach your health. You can be reactive, basically wait until something feels wrong and then deal with it. Or you can be proactive. You can focus on extending not just your lifespan, but what we call your health span. That's your quality of life. Look, if something doesn't feel right, go get it checked out. You have to listen to your body and listen to your family when they're worried about you.
So, the key is to take action. Talk to your doctor, ask about the key screenings for heart health, metabolic health, and cancer, and then find some way to move your body every day. The best advice I've ever heard on this is to find something you love, or at the very least, something you don't hate. For me, I hate running, so you're not going to find me out there running. And finally, please, prioritize your sleep. That's when our brain and our body do all of their most important repair work. It's not optional.
All right, let's shift gears now and talk about the emotional side of all this. This next piece of advice is all about freeing yourself from the weight of your past so you can actually enjoy your present and your future. This quote, man, it says it all, doesn't it? When we keep replaying old regrets in our head, it creates this vicious, negative cycle. It's like our brain gets stuck in a groove. You remember the mistake, you feel terrible about it all over again, and then you do nothing, which just starts the whole loop over. But here's the thing, you can retrain your brain, and here are two really practical tools to help you do it. The first one is called the Regret Reset Ritual. When a regret pops into your head, I want you to physically write down the lesson it taught you. This helps reframe it from a mistake into a learning experience. Second, use the forward move rule. The second that regret appears, immediately get up and do something positive. The idea is to tie that negative thought to a positive action, and eventually you'll break that old rusty chain. Okay, now we're going to talk about something that decades of research out of Harvard has identified as the single biggest factor for our happiness. And guess what? It's not money, it's not success, it's the quality of our relationships. But in this busy, sometimes disconnected world, keeping those relationships strong takes real conscious effort. Here is a powerful but really simple exercise you can do. I want you to make 2 lists with 5 people on each. List number 1 is for the people you would be absolutely heartbroken to lose contact with. List number 2 is for people you feel like you've already started to drift away from. Just doing this helps you see, right there in black and white, who really matters most to you. And the action step? It couldn't be simpler. Just pick one person from either list and reach out to them today. A quick text message, a phone call, a short email. It doesn't have to be a big deal. You will be amazed at how much good that one small action does for both of you. And it helps you build that habit of staying connected. All right, we've made it to our final piece of advice, and honestly, this is a regret I hear all the time. People say, I just wish I had started planning earlier, or I wish I had found you sooner. Please don't let that be your regret.
The action to take here is very straightforward. First, find a professional who really specializes in working with retirees, with people in this specific season of life. And second, work with them to get a comprehensive written plan put together. Once you have a real plan, one that covers your income, your investments, taxes, healthcare, all of it, a funny thing happens. The worry starts to fade away, and you can finally focus on what really matters, living that amazing life you've designed for yourself. So, as we start to wrap this up, I want to leave you with a question. We've covered a lot of ground today, right? From figuring out what enough money looks like to reconnecting with an old friend. Which one of these ideas really resonated with you? What is one small action you can take, maybe even today, to start building a future that's full of gratitude instead of regret? Hey, if you found this explainer helpful, would you do us a favor and hit the like button and subscribe to our YouTube channel, Retirement Finance Explained? We're all about providing simple, clear guidance on retirement, savings, and your financial security.